Welcome back to the Kikao session. Yeah, when I was listening to Roy, I saw Professor Ishaku like burning to have some contribution on the safety of these GMOs, on environment, on human consumption, on other animals, if they are fed on BT products. Please take some time and share with us.
I suspect our viewers will want to know what is it that is used to arrive at the safety. What are those things that you will say? Ordinarily, if it is food, you think of it, whether is it a poison? Can it kill someone? Or can it cause some stomach discomfort or of any sort? And for the environment, is it that when you plant it, it is going to overcome everything else in the place and dominate everything around? Or is it going to remain forever and become like a big tree instead of a piece of maize or so?
A monster.
Those are the kinds of considerations that the safety is referring to. First of all, poisons are known. They have their similarities. There are chemical compounds food scientists have known. Those that cause itching and discomfort for human beings are called allergens. Those are things that cause reactions. So before the safety dossier is developed and the conclusion is safe, it must be found to be that it doesn't have anything that is poisonous or anything that can cause stomach problem for human beings or animals. And then if it is planted, it is going to behave just like its own ordinary counterpart. And if it is used as food, it is going to taste and have the same chemical composition as its own conventional food. That is the only time when it is going to be regarded as being safe.
Fantastic. I think that is indeed an answer to many questions that we have on safety. Is it a different thing? And here you need to rule all those things out. Now, when Roy was talking about GMO and how we can have those products to people, he talked about something, protocol, Cartagena protocol. It means regulations and we are guided on how to bring GMO on the table of people in the agricultural sector. What are those regulatory frameworks that we need to have GM products available to our farmers, to our consumers, and contribute to the development of the agricultural sector, to the economic sector?
Maybe to use the analogy of the aviation industry.
Yes, please.
Initially, when the jet engine was invented, many people were unwilling to fly across the Atlantic because it is too dangerous, because it is coming for the first time. Then, similar to the Cartagena protocol, internationally, communities of nations came together and designed ways of ensuring that everybody does the same thing at the same standard so that there will be uniform safety across the world. And that is what was borrowed in the biosafety regulatory mechanism of GMOs. That if it is going to pass from one country to another, I'm sure Roy is going to shed more light, but eventually the intention is such that all concerns that humans may have all over the world would have been answered by attaining this level of regulation and control, such that now every one of us walk into an airplane and then being flown all over the world without even thinking about it. Because the regulatory regime that was put in place to ensure our safety has even removed this concern for us. And I'm sure what Roy and his colleagues are doing are eventually going to put Kenyans into the understanding that there is no longer anything to get concerned about in GMOs.
With that regulatory framework and the process through which they reach that confirmation of the safety of the product, it gives assurance.
Yes.
And we are indeed very much assured that the national biosafety authorities do that scrutiny and come up with an evidence-based conclusion. Now, another question that we have is, does Africa has the capacity to manage GM product, to manage GM technology? Do we have that capacity? I know Professor Ishiako is one of his lab does, but that is not something we should take as granted for the whole continent. Do we have that capacity?
Thank you. This has been a running kind of question about capacity within Africa. If I say Kenya, you can read Africa. But what we have now is a robust regulatory framework. When we negotiated the Cartagena Protocol, it was based on precautionary, don't touch until we are sure. But then this has evolved over time. And we are seeing more and more African countries now adopting the technology through the rigors of the regulatory system. And we have evolved regulatory systems that are multi-agency. I could give an example of the Kenyan situation where we as the National Biosafety Authority check the safety aspects that Prof has pointed out. Then, if it is a crop, we pass it on to the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, which checks some other things and says yes. If it is an animal, we move it to Directorate of Veterinary Services, again. Then we take it to the public health, who are also sitting in our board, and again, they check aspects of food safety. Then again to the National Environment Management Authority, who take it through the environmental impact assessment, a very rigorous and public participatory kind of process. And then they tick the boxes and therefore say, so when we have made the conclusion that this is safe, the message I want picked from the Kenyan and even the Greater Africa, Nigeria is even ahead of us, having approved several other crops, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Africa has been in this longer than all of us. So in Africa, we have the capacity. And that capacity was documented by Kalisas Juma when he published his book on the freedom to innovate. That is very well documented. We have the capacity, we have the regulatory ability to do that which needs to be done. So when we are saying this is safe, farmer can grow, consumer can feed, it is indeed safe. To use the Kiswahili word, we would say hakika. Hakika means for sure that this has been checked by NEMA for environment, by KEFIS, plant matters and variety matters, public health, human health, DVS, veterinary service, animal health. So it's a package that tells the world that this can get it to your desk, to your dining table, and we are certain that
that is, I think, very reassuring. Now, another thing I will derive it from what you said when you were giving the examples of some of the crops where we have GM technology applied on. You talked about maize, BT cotton, BT cowpea. Tell me, Professor, do we have other crops where GM technology has been applied in Africa and across the world?
There are several other places. For example, in soybean, soybean GM technology has been applied in soybean to make weed control easier for the farmer, and also in cassava to increase the amount of vitamin A and some essential minerals in it, and sweet potato also. Sorghum has also been enriched in terms of its nutritive potential to increase it in zinc concentration and iron and so on. There are a number of crops. Now, the underlying need for having this is informed by the intense desire to provide solution to problems in Africa. Drought, nutrition, disease, and so on and so forth. These are the things that make Africans delve into this technology. As for the capacity, there are two ways of capacity. Our regulators are very efficient. They are well knowledgeable in setting standards. They are the ones who set standards for our scientists. People like myself who work in the laboratory, they tell me how I must conduct my research. It must comply, and the compliance is to translate eventually into a very safe product that is developed. So both ways, Africa's capacity has grown in the last 10 years, more than tripled in terms of our capacity to develop biotechnology products and also manage them effectively.
I think that is again another reassuring information. First of all, because we have many crops which are now having varieties which are GM products and which add value to the productivity at the farm level, but also nutritious food. And we know that deficiencies are so many in Africa. And I think that is quite a serious thing. I know from my neighbors who are farming how much their field can be devastated by pests and these different insects. So these technologies contribute a big solution to the key challenges the farmers are having. From what you said, I will not ask you if we should be comfortable with BT maize, BT cowpea, or BT cotton, because you said we have gone through all the trials and we know it is very safe. I think that is a very good thing. Capacity is key. Now, I think what I will say is, how is it communicated to different stakeholders that from the farm where we know that there is these issues, to the researchers where they will produce that solution, to the biosafety authorities to say, now we are sure it is good, and then go back to the farm, now go and use it. I think that is an area where we need to work. Do you have some?
Yes, something to pick on that. You mentioned at the closure of the first session that there is that remaining question. Irrespective of these assurances, people are still jittery. People say, oh, no, we can't touch that. The issue is on perception. And I want to admit, as a scientist, as an expert in this area, and even as a head of an institution in Kenya, this is an area we have not done very well. The area of communicating it, the area of making it an everyday street conversation. That has not happened. And in fact, this kind of engagement, where we can ask questions without making reference to slides and PowerPoint presentations, is a perfect way of getting these messages out there. Do we even receive feedback from our clients when they interact with this technology? That is, I think, the weakest point in our.
I think that is very important, and the question was asked deliberately, because if it is so safe, why on the other side people are still jittery when you talk of GMO?
That's right.
I think I will ask our colleagues from the media to help us break the walls of the communication and let that science, that assurance, and that seriousness go down to the consumers. Go down to the farmers, go down to the decision makers, so that they know that there is no reason for fear. We have our researchers, we have our regulators who are working seriously on this area. I think when we come back, we take a break, and when we come back, we look now at the farmers' level. What is it that they are thinking
What are
about
they
all
saying?
these technologies?
Yes, uh-huh.